What is up, guys? Welcome to your second Python game development tutorial in Pygame. And in this tutorial I'm going to be building a simple, it's not a game, but it's a basics to a game, and you're going to need it in order to learn all the basics that you're going to be using in the later tutorials. So before I begin, I want to show you guys that I have two images. One's a JPEG image right here called BG, and this is pretty much just the background I'm going to use right here, just a little gradient, and the other one's a little ball, as you can see right here. So whenever I use those images, now you'll know what I'm talking about, and that's the first thing we're going to use. So open up a new Python script or program, whatever you call it, and let's create variables for those images. And since they're in the same directory, I don't need to use any little backslashes or anything. I can just put their names. So I'm going to put background image file. Don't name it background because we're going to be using background later on. So I'm going to name mine Biff, and just put this to the image wherever your background is. So I named mine BG, and please again make sure it's a JPEG, and I'll tell you why later. In my ball for the mouse cursor, I named it mouse image file, or MIF, and set this equal to the wherever your mouse is. So my mouse is going to be the ball, so I named my ball.png. And anytime you want to work with transparency in Pygame, make it a ping. Anytime you want to work with a lot of colors, make it a JPEG. So make sure your background is JPEG and your mouse is a ping. So now that we got those, we can move on to the basics of what we're probably going to need to do every tutorial. The first thing that we're going to need to do is import Pygame and system. You'll see why later. And another thing we're going to do is from Pygame locals, we want to import all. I don't know what the asterisk is. Let's see. I have a bunch of stickers on my keyboard from After Effects tutorials, so it covers up all the symbols. So that's why every time I type a symbol I have to look on my laptop. So next, what we're going to need to do is initialize all the Pygame modules. So Pygame init, and that's pretty much all the housekeeping stuff we need. We're going to need to do this every tutorial. This just imports everything we're going to use that's built in, and this just pretty much gets it ready for us. We don't really need to learn that. We just need to copy it from my tutorials. Now here's the meat of our program. Here's what you need to learn. Let me tighten this up a bit. The first thing that we're going to need to do is build a screen or a window where we can play our game. So let's go ahead and make a variable, set it equal to screen, and how you do this is go ahead and type pygame.display.setMode, set_mode, and this lets you create a window. The first parameter it takes, and it's the only one necessary, is to create the size of your window and set it equal to whatever you created your background. Mine is 640 by 360. Now it takes a couple other parameters. The second one is something called flag, I think. Don't worry about that. And the third one is the bits, and this is how many colors you can use. Just put, since I'm using a 32-bit system, just put 32 or whatever your system is. The next thing after that is we want to take that image that was our background image, and we want to convert it to something that Python can use, since you can't just use it straight from your computer. So go ahead and type background. We're going to store this in the background variable. Type pygame image.load, and then in your parameters in load type BIF or whatever you named it up here, and this is going to go get that image from your computer. And what we're going to want to do is convert it. And what this does is convert it to something Python or Pygame can use. And we want to do this exact same thing with the mouse cursor. So I'm going to name mine mouse_C. I didn't like to name it mouse because Python already has something called mouse. So that's why I named it mouse_C for mouse cursor. So again, Pygame image load, and in your parameters type myth or whatever you named your file path up here, and what you need to do this is convert _ alpha, ALPHA, there we go, and with empty parameters. And why do we do convert for this one and convert alpha for this one? Well, convert alpha, if you don't know from like web design or anything, alpha means transparency. And since there's some transparency to our cursor, remember there's that ball, but you could see through the sides of it, that's why we need to do convert alpha. So pretty much on basics, anytime you're working with a ping with transparency, use convert alpha. Now what we need to do is build the main loop for our game. And what the main loop is a loop that keeps going and going. So in order to do a main loop that keeps, it's pretty much like a never-ending loop, you either need to type while true or while 1. These two things make sure that your loop never ends. And the first thing we're going to do in our loop that never ends is give our system a way to shut down. So before we even build anything, we want to make sure when that user clicks that X box or close, your program shuts down. So here's how you do this. And again, you just need to copy this for now, you'll learn it later. For event in Pygame dot event, we'll be going over events later, that's why. Get empty parameters. If event, we'll probably be going over events in a couple tutorials, but for now, just follow me. If event type equals quit, Pygame dot quit and sys dot exit. And this is why we needed to import sys at the beginning for system exit. But anyways, moving on. Aside from this, and make sure you're right under your 4. See, notice my indentation. What we need to do is blit the background to the screen. And what blit means is pretty much copy the background right on your screen. Again, we'll be going over this later, but here's how you do this. Background, make sure I spelled it right. And your next parameter is 0, 0. And what this does is pretty much take that background that you created and copy it on your window. So that background is always on the window of your screen. Blit pretty much just means copy two things to another. So now that we got our background, actually this tutorial is getting long, but now that we got our background, we can begin to build the mouse. And since this tutorial is getting kind of long, I'm going to put that in the next tutorial so I don't have to rush. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure to check out my next tutorial. And oh, by the way, make sure to subscribe. See ya.